Maybe you should go and do some contemplating.
Right reasons, right reasons. Being pretty girl for all the right reasons. Right reasons, right reasons. Being pretty girl for all 4 reasons.
I'm the Bachelorette, and I'm rapping to you poolside. Here to find true love.
Hi, this is Rachel McElroy.
Hi, this is Griffin McElroy.
And this is Roze Buddiez.
And it's the Maximum Fun Drive. And you know what that means. We're going to take you for all that you've got.
Too fast, too furious.
Oh? Is it?
Drive Angry, shot in 3D.
Have you seen Drive Angry shot in 3D starring Nicolas Cage?
No, but I know you have.
I saw it in theaters. Got fucked up. Went and saw my buddy Nick Cage do his driving on the big screen. And let me tell you, it's not good. Suboptimal movie experience. So, here's what's up with the Max Fun Drive. Hi, and welcome to Roze Buddiez. Usually we talk about The Bachelor, but they ran out of Bachelor.
It's all over now.
They ran out of it. They were giving us too much. They were like, do you want 2 hours this week? And we're like, no, slow down. Like, parse it out a little bit. And they're like, how about 3 fucking hours 2 weeks in a row? And we're like, okay, now you're being aggressive. Like, you've gotten really hostile towards us, and we're not exactly sure why, Bachelor franchise. But they ran out. And so we were wandering through the desert for a while. And then we came along a beautiful Hawaii-shaped oasis. And it was Terrace House, Aloha State, which is what we're going to be talking about this week. But we're also going to be talking about the Max Fun Drive. How excited are you? This is your first Max Fun Drive as like a member of the fam.
It feels pretty great. I mean, I have a lot of experience asking people for money
That
in
is
my
true.
profession.
And you also busked in the Brooklyn subway system for a while. You played the sousaphone. And
then I glued spoons to my shoes.
you had spoon shoes.
Did a little tap.
Mrs.
little
Spoon
tap
Shoes, did a
number.
little soft shoe down there.
Who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm. What?
Mrs. Spoon Shoes.
Oh, can you give me a little, like a harmony with, like a melody with that?
Well, it was spoken word, really.
Oh, that's right. That was Mrs. Mrs. Spoon Shoes would also do a little bit of
I
slam.
would go, who do you think you are? Mrs. Spoon Shoes.
So, Miss Spoon Shoes. Oh, you did it, and I interrupted. I'm so sorry. We're going to be talking about the Max Fun Drive and what you can do. Basically, it's a cool thing where you can support our show, and you can support all the shows on the Maximum Fun Network. And we have been supported. We've been doing a Bim Bam on the Max Fun Network. I think this is our 6th Max Fun Drive, maybe 7th. And so there's a lot of bonus content that you can get. There's a lot of cool pledge gifts you can get, but also like you can help us make this thing better and help us like do more stuff and turn this into more of a career, which you have been doing for the McElroys for a long time now, and we are sure grateful for that. But we're going to talk more about it in a second. I'm going to apologize for my voice because I just recorded a 2-hour Adventure Zone, and so I'm shot. But we're going to be talking about Aloha State, Terrace House Aloha State, which you may remember did we just do one episode? Did we really wrap up all of Terrace House in one episode last year?
I have no memory. For those of you who are new to Roze Buddiez, when we're in the off season, we call our show Roze Buddiez with Z's because it's not technically on brand, but we still
not.
The reason we chose Terrace House is because it is a show about singles typically. And the whole focus of the show is getting these singles together.
Well, it's not the entire focus of the show.
It's a big part of it.
Most of the time, our criteria is just like kissing shows with kissing in it. And this 8-episode stretch, no spoilers, but no kissing. Maybe we should reevaluate. We watched Terrace House Boys and Girls in the City, which is on Netflix, which if you have not watched and haven't listened to our recap of, go watch it. It's like my favorite shit basically ever. It was my favorite like media thing of 2016, I think. We watched it. We consumed it very, very quickly. We watched it while we were in the hospital after Henry was born. We watched a bunch of episodes. That's where we watched the meat crime incident. And it quickly became like one of my favorite shows. And we reference it on this show a lot, and I feel like almost you need to listen to our recap of it to understand like how we consume The Bachelor now, because it changed how I sort of like view what reality TV can do. It kind of reminded me what reality TV can do, and that it's like much more real than any reality show that we've covered on this show before.
So things, just really quickly, some things about Terrace House that really change the game is, unlike most reality television, there's no confessionals. There's no one-on-one with the individual talking to the camera. We learn everything we know by watching conversations.
Yes. Another thing, it moves at a much slower pace than any other reality show, basically
they don't
ever.
have to do challenges.
There's no challenges or anything like that, but there's also not like, there's not a lot of drama. In the first We watched 8 episodes of Aloha State because that's all that's available. More, I think, is coming on April 4th. Another 8 episodes, and I think they're doing 24 episodes is all that they have on the books right now, which is very exciting. There's like 40 episodes or so of Boys and Girls in the City, but like the first 6 or 7 episodes of Boys and Girls in the City, like nothing happens. It's all just kind of setting up like future stuff. But
well,
like,
I would argue more happens than happens in Aloha State.
Absolutely. But like if 2 people go on a date, that's a good episode because it never happens. If two characters, I need to avoid saying that. If 2 people kiss, it's like holy fucking shit, must see TV because it doesn't have like one of the things we were thinking about talking about for this episode, this MaxFunDrive episode, was we did watch all of this season of Are You the One? Which let's give them 60 seconds, and if you don't want to be spoiled on this season of Are You the One, just skip ahead literally 1 minute. But they added an extra boy and an extra girl. There's 11 guys, 11
instead
women,
of the typical 10.
and you still have to find your matchups. But like that, it's still 10 weeks, right? And so like they made it much harder.
And they lose money.
They lose money every time they blacked out, right?
Yeah.
And so they blacked out and lost $500,000.
Blacked out means they don't find a match.
Right. Sorry, go listen. You have to also go listen to our other Are You the One episodes. But all of the people on this season, and it's why we didn't want to talk about it, all of the people, save for like 1 or 2 of this season of Are You the One, just sucked. Like they were just miserable to watch.
We didn't root for anyone. And it was like you couldn't root for anyone because as soon as you started to feel like maybe somebody was going to work out, literally like 30 seconds later, they would have destroyed
fucking
it.
stupid fight, or they would like
go make out with somebody else.
Yeah, or go threaten somebody else with violence or something like that. Like it was really
gross.
brutal TV. There was no like love stories you were rooting for, and everybody was playing a fucking terrible game. And so I wanted these jerks to lose very badly for the first time ever. And again, skip forward maybe 15 seconds, they fucking lost. It's the first season they've ever lost. They didn't get the money, and holy shit.
It seemed like they were going to get it together. They got it down to 2 unknown matches, and they couldn't figure it out.
Fucking get it. And so they were like waiting for that $1 million announcement, and the lights come on, and Ryan's like, nope. And God, feed it to me slowly like grapes.
Oh, they fell apart.
They fell the fuck apart. It was so tasty good.
And Griffin and I celebrated.
That's like it. That's all we could talk about this season, though, because we couldn't be like, oh, and these 2 were super cute. They weren't. Like,
no.
It sucked. It was a bad season. Now, let's get to
Terrace House.
Aloha State.
Yes.
Let's speak broadly before we get into specifics, because I don't think we're going to do an episode by episode recap, because that would take a really long time. Generally speaking, I am not as into it as I was in Boys and Girls in the City, although I'm willing to extend it a certain line of credit, because I also think like that show didn't get really interesting until cast members started switching out, which does not happen in this 8 episode arc, although it is about to. Like my favorite characters in the house were not the ones that started out there, right? Because when starting out, we had Mako-chan, the baseball player, who was like kind of okay, whatever, and then we had the woman who's getting her PhD, like that. There wasn't a lot of interesting stuff going on there, and so like when people started to switch out, and we got like Natsumi in, and we got other folks in, like that's when that show started to pop off.
I will say all the ladies liked Mako-chan, so it was like a way to start the episode, because there was still like a, you know, what type of person are you looking for?
Yes.
Who are you interested in?
And also, I think like episode 2 of that show, people started like going on fucking mad dates. Yeah. And Uchi, regardless of what you think of Uchi, who was the defendant in the meat crime, or I guess the plaintiff in the meat crime incident, went on Uchi week, where he asked out like all 3 of the women and like went on dates just to like see who was a good fit. And then that was like one of the best romances of the show came out of Uchi and Minori. None of that so far in this original cast. This cast of 6, and again, it's 3 young men and 3 young women. There's not much heat between any of them really, and I feel like I've watched 8 episodes of the show twice now. We've watched it twice now because we watched it again to like make sure. And I just don't know that I know that much about any of them that I find particularly fascinating or like enthralling or engaging.
Should we list real quick who they are?
Yes. So the 3 men, there's Yuya, who is 18.
Yes.
Like 3 of the people in the house, which we should get back to, because I feel like it's the biggest problem with this season. He's 18. He's an aspiring actor, and he came to live in this house in Hawaii to work on his English. He says he's the only member of his family who doesn't like speak English, and so he wants to, so he can become a successful international acting star. He's very thoughtless. that is pretty much all you need to know about Yuya.
But has relatively good intentions.
He's had some sweet conversations with people in the house, and like
Also, he's 18.
He's 18. That's the big
He's just getting started.
It's so hard. Whenever I think of like, well, this really rubbed me the wrong way, I keep coming back to the fact like, oh well, like half the people in this house are 18. Which, if you remember in Boys and the Girls in the City, when they revealed this very late season cast member Rico, they were like, Rico's an 18-year-old girl. Isn't that wild? We got a really young person in the house, isn't that? And then to start off the season, be like half of them are 18. It's like, whoa, that's not a good call, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not because there isn't a lot they can do. Like a big part of Boys and Girls in the City was that they would go to bars together.
Yeah.
And clubs.
Well, just the bigger thing is also like all of the drama is by definition kind of like, there's nothing wrong with being 18, whatever. I'm saying it's like a flashpoint for drama on this TV show. Like all of the drama is very like 18-year-old drama, which you also have a 27-year-old and a 25-year-old in the house, and it just like, it was weird. Like it just didn't play well, and it felt like nobody has anything to talk about.
One of them, so Yusuke is literally, he's 18, he's still in high school.
Yes.
And the other 18-year-old is Lauren. And she is just out of school and is just kind of getting started with a professional life.
Yeah, Yusuke is a musician. He's a guitarist and ukulelelist.
Yeah. And
he is a very soft boy, exceedingly soft boy in a way that we should also get into, because I feel so conflicted about Yusuke. The other guy is Eric, who is 27, a good 9 years older than half the people in the house, which like, the thing I kept coming back to is like whenever I'd hang out with Justin, my oldest brother Justin's friends, they were 6 years older than me, and I still felt like they were like on another planet, right?
Yeah.
Like I would talk to them with an air of reverence.
Especially when you're in high school.
Especially when you're in middle school and they're in college, right?
Yeah.
Like that 6-year gap covers that.
Yeah.
A 9-year gap is like unthinkable. That's like hanging out with my dad's friends. And all of a sudden, like, my dad is more than 9 years older than me, but like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine being 18 and like hanging out with 27-year-olds and like, that's what this Eric guy is. Eric is the oldest guy in the house, and also kind of not a architect necessarily, but he's trying to build a little bar kiosk in some store.
He says that he makes furniture. He does construction, but he is working with his friends to start a cafe.
You may hear oldest guy in the house and knows about construction and think we got another Hansan on our hands, but this is a fucking far cry, a sad shade of Hansan.
He is a whisper of Hansan.
A whisper of Hansan. There's more Hansan in Hansan's little pinky than there is in this Eric.
And then Avian.
And then Avian is 26.
Yes.
And she works at a t-shirt shop that is apparently kind of a big deal in I think Waikiki. And Avian's like one of the people in the house that I feel like I don't know anything about, because all that we've seen is like her kind of relationship with Yuya a bit. And then the last woman in the house is Naomi Lorraine Frank, who I'm a huge fan of, and Rachel's just kind of tepid about. She's 23, and she has lived in Japan. She moved to Japan when she was 7 and has lived there since. Obviously, they're not in Japan this time; they're in Hawaii. And pretty much most of the folks in the house are either half Japanese, or Lauren is I think half Chinese, half European, she says.
Yeah.
So there's a much broader sort of mix of
all of them can speak.
All of them can speak Japanese, and pretty much all of them can speak English, which is one of the weird, like, off-putting things about the show.
Yeah, they'll switch back and forth.
Lauren especially.
And all of a sudden your subtitles will disappear, and you'll be like, wait, what?
Wait, what? I can't hear it because we have, like, white noise blasting at, like, 40 decibels.
Our volume is at 4 right now.
Yeah, because our baby's literally asleep right next to the TV in a swing. Yeah, like, there's and one of the things that we like really liked about Terrace House, Boys and Girls in the City, and obviously like it was never going to happen in this show, was like you and I are big fans of Japan. We went there for our honeymoon. We like love the place and are like dying to get back. And so there was a bit of like tourism to it, both in that they would like go to dope places, like really fucking cool places, and they would eat like the best looking food. Like they go out to restaurants where you catch your own fish and then they like sashimi it up for you right there, but they would also like cook amazing looking food at home. I feel like a lot of people in our group like learned what omurice was from watching this, and
us, I mean, at least me included.
Half of the fucking meals they eat on Aloha State aren't like poi and tasty looking authentic Hawaiian dishes. It's like, y'all, it's like shitty looking DiGiorno pizza,
like literally like homemade mac and cheese from a box, like frozen pizza.
It's
It's a bummer.
I think it's kind of a.
It's also because half the people in the house are 18.
It. Like if you're 18, it's like, yeah, pass me the fucking Easy Mac, dude.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, we don't get that from it. Although like, I try not to judge it for that, right?
Because and Hawaii does look beautiful.
Hawaii looks fucking beautiful, and I'm sure in the panel, which is back, it's the same panel from the end of Boys and Girls in the City. The panel is like really taken with it, and they open up the season talking about how they took this trip to Hawaii as sort of like a table setter, and how they just fucking love Hawaii. And so I get that, right? Like I'm an American dude watching them in America, and so I'm like, oh well, this isn't quite as exciting as the last season was. While I imagine if you live in Japan, which is like this show's original market, and you see people hanging out in Hawaii, then it is different, and it is exciting in the way that Boys and Girls in the City was for us. But it's different. Although that's not, I think my sticking point with this season, and I still really liked it and I still really enjoyed it. It's not because it's not in Japan, and it's not because like of the language or whatever. I really don't care about that. It's just that the people are, I just don't think there's a lot of there's not a lot of that heat, between them.
Yeah. And I think the age difference is a big part of it. I think you're right. I think it's hard to compare at this point because I'm almost 35, but if you put me in a house with an 18-year-old, I wouldn't know what to go do with that 18-year-old. Like maybe eat meals, which is what they do. They go out to lunch a lot, go to the beach.
They go to the beach a lot.
That's just the beach and lunch.
So I guess should we start breaking down like some of the highlights? And again, I don't know that we need to go episode by episode. Obviously with the first episode, we get the arrivals.
Yeah, I think we should go chronologically.
Yeah, for sure.
So you want to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So the big thing we find out in episode 1 is that Yusuke, the 18-year-old,
the very soft boy,
when they're all having a conversation, him and the other guys, I should say, about their relationship history and maybe who in the house they think is attractive. Eric says that he has been single for 3 years, and Yusuke, the 18-year-old boy, says that he has been single for 18 years.
Which is all of his years.
Which is all the years.
Yusuke, here's what I'm torn about Yusuke. He's a very soft boy. Yes. He's a very talented guitarist.
Yes, he also reveals his skills in this episode, and he's very talented.
Yes, they don't make you wait till episode 6 like they did with Tap in Boys and Girls in the City. He's very soft, and he's very inexperienced with, well, everything, but like the thing that we get to see most of is like with women. And so he has a crush on somebody in the house. He has a crush on Lauren. And like is really clumsy in his romantic pursuit, although there's certainly like a lot of stuff there that happens that's like kind of charming, kind of sweet. It's very innocent, I think, for the most part. And he gets advice from the other two dudes who like aren't the best dudes. There's this weird phenomenon where Yuya, the 18-year-old, whenever he hangs out with Eric, the 27-year-old, he's kind of a shitheel a little bit. And I think a lot of that is just kind of posturing.
They rib Yusuke a lot for his status.
Yeah, and I think that he's not as bad about it when Eric's not around. But my problem with Yusuke is like, and I don't want to like cast aspersions or anything like that. But like, I feel like when you are that young and you kind of recognize that you are a gentler boy, it can be easy to like lean into that in a way that is not necessarily healthy, like socially speaking. Like some of the things that Yusuke does feels a little like feels just a little bit like
Eeyore.
Not Eeyore, but just like sad, heartfelt protagonist of like a coming of age movie. Like I think I'm speaking, I'll be frank here, like I'm speaking like as somebody who I feel like also did this a lot growing up, because like I was not this Lothario, but like I had this thought, I romanticized it in my mind. Yeah. I romanticized like
that's what being 18 is though. I don't fault Yusuke for that. Like that is what being 18 is. No. If you're a sensitive person.
Yes.
It is not knowing who's in your league and constantly falling on your face because you romanticize that maybe they'll see through through your awkward facade and really zero in on the gentle soul that you are.
And I
like,
think, yeah,
that's being a teenager.
What makes me uncomfortable, I think, is that can, and I don't think it happens in this show, right? And again, like, Yusuke seems like a perfectly sweet dude. I also think that can break bad really fucking fast and really bad. Like that, like, I'm owed this, like, if I keep playing this up and I'm a sweet boy, then eventually this person who I'm pursuing will have to like end up with me because I will have earned it with my sweet behavior, and that sucks. Like that can get really shitty.
He could turn into somebody that's kind of a monster,
but it doesn't happen, right? But it kind of bristled with me because I think ultimately that's an unhealthy like way of doing it. This like romanticizing your awkwardness around the people that you're attracted to. Like I think that can get kind of bad. And I also think like the stuff like where like somebody will be talking with him and we'll leave the room and then Yusuke will like say like a little button to the scene to himself like every fucking time he's on camera.
Can I give you an example of that? So in this first episode, they're all talking over dinner. Or maybe it's, I don't know, it's some meal. And, they start talking about the difference between Japanese and American men. And Lauren very diplomatically says, it really depends on the person. Like, I'm not going to make a broad sweeping statement about entire culture. And Yusuke says, everyone is experienced. I've never been with anyone before.
It's a little bit on the nose.
I was telling Griffin, it's like if you read it in a novel, you'd be like, this is really bad writing.
There's also like,
why is this character saying these things? We should learn about them. And, instead of having to hear him say literally, this is who I am as a character.
Eric and Yuya will be like talking to him and be like, you just have to find your own way of asking this person out. And then they leave the room and he sits there in silence for like 10 seconds. And he's like, my own way. What are you doing? Like I think there's that. I think there's that romanticizing. Yeah. I think there's that romanticizing happening, but I also think it's like there's a wicked spin on it, which is like he also knows that he's on a TV show. And so like I think he knows also that people are going to find him very charming and sweet and innocent and like, oops, are you playing a character a little bit now? Like, yeah, all that said, like, I think he's a sweet guy. It's just like, he does things that like, I feel like maybe I did a little bit when I was his age that I now look back on and be like, man, I wish I hadn't just like, when I went to that party where I didn't know anybody and I was kind of bummed out, I wish I hadn't just like fucking like sat in the corner moping and waiting for somebody to come talk to me.
Yeah.
And thinking the whole time, like, if I do this, I will be, like somebody will recognize my silent, furious genius and like come and talk to me.
That's what movies teach you, right?
That's what movies teach you. Yeah. And it sucks. It's not right. Yeah. It's not the right way to do it. So yes.
I will say, so just to end episode 1, all the guys are talking at the end, and Yuya says that he likes Avian, and Eric says that he thinks Lauren is interesting, and then Yusuke says, it's only the beginning. And then the episode ends.
Yeah.
Because perfect.
I try not to, like, I don't know how much of that is also just, like, a translation thing, so I guess I haven't read too much into it, but now that you pointed out, like, more or less everything he says kind of does seem a little, romance novel, a little bit. So yeah, like, I don't know that they make, like, a great first impression. Yuya and Eric are kind of rat baggy a little bit when they're together, but I don't think nearly as much as like some of the more toxic dudes that were in Boys and Girls in the City.
It's like a weird alpha situation, right? Like I feel like Yusuke came in and he was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm willing to take advice. I'm trying to figure my way into women. And the guys were like, here we go. Like, we'll help you.
The women are great, though. Like, Avian, I feel like we don't know a lot about, but she has some, like, fun stuff throughout the first 8 episodes. Frank I like because Frank is kind of on the... I call her Frank. Her name is Naomi. Frank is her last name. Naomi's, I feel like, is great because she's kind of the opposite of Yusuke, where Yusuke has this unrequited love for, or crush at least, for Lauren. Naomi develops this admiration for Yuya that is completely unrequited. And I feel like she's very like, I don't know, I think she's a lot more entertaining in her pursuit. And Lauren, it's hard to get a read on. She talks about how she got into, studied abroad in, I believe, Hiroshima. for
yes.
for like a couple months or something like that, and like she so deeply fell in love that she learned to speak Japanese, but she lives in Hawaii now. And
And she was born in Massachusetts.
she was born in Massachusetts. Yeah, so she's I think what like kind of puts me off is and maybe this is just like again casting aspersions based on people that I knew that I grew up with, that when they went to study abroad they would come back a changed person and would be kind of fucking annoying about it. I don't think she's annoying or anything like that, but I don't know. There's something about her.
I don't know. I kind of empathize with her because she's, her interests are very introverted. You know,
she's an amazing artist too.
Yeah, she's an artist. She's a model. But her primary interest is art. And she is just not especially outgoing and is having difficulty, I think, living in this house with people and having to kind of explain who she is and how she's feeling and connect with all these strangers all the time. Like, she just seems to me like kind of a classic introvert. And
also, and again, like, no judgment, but like she's 18. And so like maybe all of that stuff isn't ironed out yet or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I like the women, and so I feel like we didn't talk a lot about what they did in that first episode, and it's just because nobody really did much of anything in that first episode.
We'll get to it.
So let's and then the episode ends with Yusuke like really shredding, and boy, he just Khaki King slaps the fucking ever loving shit out of his guitar,
and he's doing
plays.
it while he's in these like matching PJs.
It's very cute.
It's charming.
It's very, very cute.
So the next episode, I think, is a good chance for us to, if you haven't listened to our previous Terrace House app, to address the panel.
Okay.
So the panel is a group of, I mean, I don't know that they're all professional comedians, but they're
comedians and hosts of things and performers. Trindle is, I think, a model performer, and I think she was on Terrace House. Yeah, most of them are like comedian presenters.
Isn't it 3 men and 3 women?
Yes. It's
Isn't that interesting? I never thought about that.
Yeah, I guess I haven't either. It's you, Trindle, Tokue, Azusa is the woman that always has like the dope clothes on.
Okay.
Yamasato, who's the dude with the glasses, and Kintaro, who's the boy actor. The replacement of the other boy, the much younger boy, who was not very, very entertaining at all.
So the way the show's set up, it's like the panel is watching along with you. Mm-hmm. So instead of kind of preparing their reactions in advance or summing up at the top of the episode, they'll break in a few times and react in what feels like real time to what you just watched. And they are as enthusiastic and excited about Terrace House as we are about The Bachelor.
That's true, yeah.
So it's really fun to watch.
And they're entertaining because sometimes you'll be watching and like something uncomfortable will happen and you'll just pray to God for the scene to end so we can get to the commentators to like drag them for this this like kind of uncomfortable thing that happened. But not only that, like we touched on this in our last episode where we talked about Terrace House, like they are kind of an important like touch point for like cultural differences, like things that we may not understand. Like this show is so fucking approachable. Like we don't watch a lot of that's actually not true. Like I got a Crunchyroll subscription around when Henry was born, and so like I realized that I can watch a lot of anime with the sound completely muted, which is good for 3 a.m. rockings to sleep. So I watch a lot of that these days. But like other than that, we don't like watch a lot of like Japanese media, I guess. And I feel like it's because I never thought it was especially approachable.
Yeah.
And this panel goes a huge way in like making me feel like I understand literally everything that happens.
I have a great example.
Yeah.
They say these like really pithy little things that just kind of transcend culture. So for example, one of the hosts comments on Avian and says that she, quote, looks like an old classmate.
An old classmate that you would see at a wedding or something like that and recognize.
Yeah, which is exactly how she looks.
She looks like somebody you went to school with. When
they said that, I was like, yes, she just is very friendly, very attractive, but has a very like girl next door quality to her. And that description I just thought was so perfect and funny.
For sure.
So anyway, so the panel starts every episode with us, and kind of sums up what happened last week and what they're excited about for this week. So this time we see the gang kind of break off because, so for example, Yusuke has to go to high school in the morning.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have like different
And like
jobs.
half of them, half
a lot
of them
travel.
have real jobs.
Yeah, a lot of them travel back to Japan for work and stuff, so they'll just like disappear for a whole episode.
But Eric and Eric goes to work, and then the rest of the gang is going to go to lunch and Costco, which is just
It's so fucking
always a big deal on
the
the
show ruined Costco for me last season for reasons that you will probably know if you go back and listen to the old stuff.
I guess,
Did anything happen on this?
Really matter.
Yeah, I don't think anything happened on this lunch day. I can't remember much about episode 2 really at all.
I'll just say that in this, we get more of Yuya giving advice to Yusuke on being proactive. We see Eric and Naomi being the only two adults able. Oh, I guess actually Avian would be able to drink too.
But I don't think she does. I think Naomi and Eric are like the only ones that drink, which like we only point out because is the drinking age different in Japan? I feel like we looked this up last time during Terrace House.
I don't
I think it's like 20 maybe.
20,
I'm not
yeah, that
100%
sounds
sure.
right.
But just like it feels like in every episode of Terrace House, Boys and Girls in the City, like they were fucking drinking and partying. And there's a whole plot line about how like one of the women, Natsumi, got really upset when oh no, I can't remember the other woman's name that said something about Natsumi's drinking, and Natsumi like got really fucking pissed off about it. So like there's a whole plot line around it last season. And like for it to not be a facet in this one is just like, I don't know. It's weird coming off of fucking Are You the One, especially, which we were watching concurrently, of just like a show where they were drinking so very much.
Yeah. So just the brief things that happen. They make Yusuke play again by the pool, which it becomes very clear like he's going to become their performer.
And the panel kind of talks about that. Like, isn't it kind of shitty the way they're treating Yusuke? Like, go get your ukulele and play us a song. Like, that's work for him.
We see Lauren drawing a little bit, so we get to know like how ambitious she is regarding her drawing, and then we get to see Eric working on his cafe.
This dude. All we see of it, we're not big Eric fans, and like, I don't necessarily think he's like the worst dude or whatever. It's just like, I don't know much about him really at all.
His ambition becomes smaller and smaller and smaller the more you get to know him. So at first you hear that he's designing this cafe with his friends, and you think like, oh, like a freestanding structure that could hold many people and provide a lot of sustenance to a big group. And then you find out that it's more of a kiosk inside of a retail establishment. But for some reason, he is working on it constantly.
And it's literally like every time you see him in the... I cracked up because I didn't catch this the first time I watched these 8 episodes, but this time, like every time you see him in the house, like at the coffee table or whatever, like working on his computer, they may even just be using the same fucking shot over and over again of him very slowly rotating this 3D model of his like lemonade stand.
I know, it looks like a lemonade stand.
And I'm sure it's like a lot of work or whatever, but it's like compared to last season where Han-san was like, here's all of my sketches of this like thing I'm submitting to this contest. And this
like,
dude's
I'm going to build a hat store, like something like really substantial.
And this dude's just like, here's my Maya like 3D asset I made of this like thing. And it's like, you've been here for at least 2 months.
The heartbreaking part is in a later episode, they go to the actual store where his cafe will be. And it looks like a touristy kind of store. They're selling like Hawaii themed goods. And he's just going to have a little stand in there with his friend, but he's just agonizing over every detail of this stand. And it's just hard to get excited with him.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's some talk of like an Eric Naomi romance, although that literally doesn't manifest at all. There's a lot of like false
Yuya
starts,
and Lauren
like.
go running, and which we know
Yuya
from
and Lauren,
Boys and
it's
Girls
like,
in the City, that could be a thing, but it
doesn't turn out. There's like a lot of like false starts, I guess.
Yeah. Episode 3?
Yeah.
So
Actually.
Oh.
Can I steal you away?
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
Are you uncomfortable to do it because of just all this sort of bad Tim Allen stuff that's in the press?
I really
these
feel
days?
uncomfortable using a song associated with Tim Allen.
Well, here's the thing. I think it transcends Tim Allen and his bad takes.
Tim Allen made some comments in the news in which
I think it was on Kimmel. I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel.
Okay. which is a
It
reputable.
wasn't on the
news
news.
source.
Fucking Times didn't come to him like, what do you think of being a conservative in Hollywood?
Yeah, he talked about how hard it was to be a conservative in Hollywood and made a very unfortunate comparison.
He said it was like being in 1930s Germany or something.
Yeah.
Like, boo. But here's the thing. This stinger
Okay.
is bigger than him.
Okay.
It's bigger than him.
It's bigger than all of us, would you
It's
say?
bigger than all of us. It's bigger than you and I, certainly. But it's bigger than Tim Allen, I think, definitely.
So we're going to keep using it?
I think we need to. Tim Allen has problematic hot takes. And I think we put it right there in the middle of it and we couch it. And then it's fine. Because
Okay.
now it's like a public service.
Or we could just not use that song.
What would we do instead?
Well, maybe it's specific to what we're discussing.
What if we did the theme song to Last Man Standing?
And it's still Tim Allen.
Oh,
though.
farts, it is, isn't it? What if we did to Infinity and Beyond?
Yeah, or maybe like the theme from the movie The Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, why can we only think of Tim Allen productions?
Shoot, I don't know.
That's so weird.
Let's just stick with the home improvement one for now. Because, again, it's much, much bigger than him. Hey, can I tell you about the MaxFunDrive?
Please do.
It is a way that you can support us and all the shows on the network. Maximum Fun is a listener-supported network. You hear that in our little logo at the end of each episode of every podcast on the network. We are... Wait, how's it go? Maximum Fun. That's my John Hodgman impression.
Comedy and culture.
Comedy and culture. Artist-owned, listener-supported. That's John again at the end. We are supported by the Max Fun Network. They take donations from listeners that we sort of ask you for every Max Fun Drive, which is our annual thing. It lasts for 2 weeks. And they take that money, and whenever you donate, you get to pick which shows you listen to, and your donation goes directly to those shows. We also sell ads on this show, which you've heard us do a few times, but like a huge, 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 vast majority of the money that we receive for the show is from donations. This is our first Max Fun Drive on this network. And so like, if you say you listen to Roze Buddiez, like that's going to determine how much we make from the donation pool. And so it is a way of directly helping out the shows that you listen to. Shows like Roze Buddiez, like we started the show knowing it would be a lot of work and, joined the Max Fun Network even after we had a baby because we thought like, hey, we could maybe turn this into maybe something bigger. Maybe we can make this like part of our career or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that we'll become professional Bachelor commentators or whatever, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so like we were added to the network. We joined the network because like we knew we could come here and get support from listeners.
Well, and it's a community too. I think from the very beginning with Roze Buddiez, we had a really active community of people that were watching along with us. And since we've joined Max Fun, it's only gotten bigger. And people find friends through this community. You know, people find other shows that they're interested in. I would say more than a lot of podcast networks, you'll see people really relating over what they're consuming. And I think that's because the tone of all the podcasts on this network is genuinely pretty good spirited and kind. And I like that.
Yeah. So if you become a new donor to the network, you will help support us. You can help us reach our goal of 10,000 new and upgrading members. You can also get some great pledge gifts, which we're going to go into here in just a second. You just get to feel like a bit of ownership over the network and, like you're a member of the family and you're really helping us out every time that you listen. So you can donate at a big range of levels. For $5 per month, you get exclusive bonus content. Should we reveal our bonus content?
Yes, please.
Why don't you tell them?
Okay, so we wanted to do something really special for our donors this year. And when we were thinking of episodes, we thought of a lot of things that honestly seemed pretty easy to us. And then we thought, you know what we should do? We should reach out to our good friend, Roze Buddiez listener, the Bachelorette of Canada, Jasmine Lorimer.
She was so great, y'all. We were all so nervous, but it went so good.
We interviewed her over Skype, and she shares some really exciting takes on her own experience on the Bachelor in America, on some of the contestants on her show.
Yeah.
And some of her favorite Roze Buddiez podcast moments.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, she was really great, and the interview went really well, and we're so happy. And thank you very much, Jasmine, for helping us out. And So yeah, if you donate at $5 per month, you get that bonus content. You also get bonus content for every show on the network, and there is so much of it.
Years ago, me, Sydney McElroy, and Teresa McElroy did my sister-in-law, and me. And you can still access that if you donate this pledge drive.
So yeah, that's at the $5 per month level. If you want to give a little bit more, at $10 per month, you get every time you move up a rank, you get everything in the previous tiers. At $10 per month, you get an enamel pin designed by Megan Lynn Cott, and there's a design for every single one of the Max Fun shows. Roze Buddiez is just a big rose with a banner under it that says "When you're ready." It's really sweet.
It's really sweet.
But there's pins for all of them. There's a snake that says "It's time to zag" from a Bim Bam. There's an electric dire bear from the Adventure Zone. There's a bunch of really cool designs, and you can grab one of those. Also, I believe if we hit our 10,000 donor goal, then these pins will also be put on sale, and the proceeds from that are going to go directly to charity. So, if you are unsatisfied just picking one at this level, then there's going to be other ways to get those.
But only if you donate.
And at $20 per month, you get the Keep in Touch kit, and this is 9 custom note cards plus envelopes. 3 encouraging designs designed by Brian Sunny D. Fernandez, a 4-color rocket pen, a Getting There rocket stamp, and a rocket-shaped candle, which apparently smells like a freshly sharpened pencil.
Do you know who designed that candle?
Oh, was it?
It was Roze Buddiez listener Erica Huff.
Oh, that's so great. Mm-hmm. Hi, Erica. Erica, you make our house smell so good, and we're so grateful because it would stink like babies and cat poop the rest of the time, if not. Don't you think?
No, well, okay.
I mean, we clean the house or whatever, but just like babies.
One of us cleans the house.
Hey now.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. It smells like a freshly sharpened pencil, friendship, and a bit of wax because it's a candle. And it's meant to inspire you in your correspondences. That's at $20 per month. There's other tiers that we're going to get to a bit later, but just like no matter what you can support us with, what really matters is that you you show your support and you let us know that like I like this thing you make and I want more of it and I want different kinds of stuff. Like, who knows? Rachel and I could do fucking 10 podcasts.
We've gotten a lot of suggestions on other shows we could cover,
yes.
Which is, something maybe we could do with
sure.
A little more scratch.
So, thank you all very, very much for, if you're already a member and you listen to more shows, like if you were a fan of Adventure Zone and Bim Bam last year and Roze Buddiez just joined the network and you started listening to that, if there's other shows you're listening to and you spend more time listening, maybe think about upgrading your membership just to kind of reflect like you're consuming more of the stuff. And yeah, just, I don't know how to put this. Like, I really don't give a shit, like, how much money people donate, right? But like when people tweet like I'm supporting this thing that you make with any amount of donation, like it makes me feel so good. Like it makes me feel like we're doing something that like people dig.
I've already seen some people saying that they were, and this boggles my mind, but they were introduced to the McElroy shows through Roze Buddiez, which is just warms my heart.
Yeah. So yeah, again, if you do want to donate, you can go to MaximumFun.org/donate. Or you can just go to MaximumFun.org and click on the donate button and follow the instructions. It's quick. It's easy. Go do it now and just knock it out. And you get to choose which shows you listen to and your donation goes directly to those shows. So, think about doing it if you listen to our show and enjoy it. And, let's move on.
Okay. Episode 3. Avian helps Naomi with her job interview.
This is cute.
So she's trying to get a job as a hostess at a restaurant, but she does not speak much English.
Yeah, she speaks enough, but not nearly as like fluently and confidently as some of the other people in the house.
She's doing a phone call too,
She's doing a phone interview with it's Tommy Bahamas.
Yes.
I did not know this was a restaurant.
I just thought it was a style of shirt.
I thought it was a sort of a big, loud shirt.
But yeah, I guess in Hawaii, maybe he has an empire of restaurants and goods.
Yeah. So this was a sweet scene of like Avian like kind of whispering into Naomi's ear to like...
Well, she's reading off of like a notebook.
Yeah, trying to like help her nail this phone interview. And she does get the job at Tommy Bahamas.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was into this arc.
She's saying she wants to practice her English. And she literally just came to America for this show.
Right.
So she has almost no work experience. But she's very sweet, and I think that her eagerness kind of helps her out a lot.
Is this when they also go on the big surf trip that turns out so bad?
Yes. I will also say that Yuya starts going to ESL school, but
Yeah.
for some reason there it's
ELS.
called ELS.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which I don't know what that would be. 'Cause
English is a language second. No.
Maybe,
but probably not.
yeah, but then they all go on this, well, not all of them, but most of them go on this surf trip.
This surf trip is our first drama moment of the whole thing.
Drama.
And it's all right. It's basically Eric and Yuya and Naomi and Avian go on this surf trip, and they all like plan it together and go. And then when they get there, Naomi doesn't know how to surf, and so Eric and Yuya and Avian are kind of showing her the ropes. And then at some point, I guess Eric and Yuya, the two dudes, just like break off and like go hit those big tall.
Yeah,
those tall
so when
pipes.
they're on the beach, they literally just show Naomi how to get up on the board. But then they take off and go surf and kind of leave her in the water by herself, which, I mean, I'm no surf expert, but I imagine getting in the water is the hard part.
Yeah.
And they just kind of abandon her and leave Avian to kind of hang out with her.
Which sucks.
Which she doesn't talk about. They go about the rest of the day. They have a meal together.
It's not a big deal until they
We
get
don't
back
find
to
out
the
about
house.
it till later.
And apparently once they get back to the house, I think it's Avian sort of talks about how Eric came to her and
Lauren, actually.
Lauren
Lauren, who wasn't even on the trip.
Lauren didn't go to the trip, but Eric asked Lauren to see if Lauren could get Naomi to stay home from the trip because they only wanted confident surfers so that they could go out and have such a fucking fun time. And that kind of bummed me out in a major way because it kind of like reveals Eric's intentions of just like, oh, I want to come to this place and just like have fucking fun in the sun and go surfing and shit. And not form important interpersonal relationships, which is what this show's really about. You just want to come and just fucking hit those.
It's almost as if Eric is not here to make friends.
It's weird, right? He's just there to like carve foam.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought this was really, really shitty behavior. And so the episode ends with Lauren approaching Eric to grab him for a little, one-on-one conversation.
I will also say this is where two more things happen. So we see Lauren working at the banana shop, which seems to be a smoothie shop in which only bananas are used.
This is weird.
It's just her peeling a mountain of bananas.
It's a lot of bananas, and the job doesn't last long, I guess. I think in the next episode, she reveals she's been fired from the banana shop after 4 days.
It's almost like they didn't ask her to peel all those bananas, and that's why she got in trouble.
We peel them to order. You've peeled 1,000 bananas. These are going to be mushy by the end of the day.
Yeah.
She also said, no, what'd she say? She says she peeled like 2,000 bananas, I think is the number she said. Is that true? Can you peel 2,000 bananas in one, like, assume 8-hour shift? How many bananas can you peel in an hour?
Oh, are you asking me this literally?
Yeah. How many can you peel in a minute? I think I could do maybe...
Well, this is interesting because you peel differently than I do.
It's true. I peel from the fucking bottom.
Griffin
to the
peels
top.
from the bottom and uses the top part.
I don't want to get all
handle.
Kirk Cameron here, but God gave him a handle. God gave him a handle, and it's on the other end than the one you guys fucking... When you eat an ice cream cone, do you just like... Or a stick, a dippy bar? A dilly bar? Do you like break the fucking stick off first so you leave it without any sort of holdable? No.
This is not comparable. That is not
It's
a fair...
entirely comparable. God gave it a handle, Kirk said.
Is Kirk Cameron, does he use his religious
He uses the banana...
interests?
He doesn't work for fucking Chiquita. No.
But he just focuses all of his religious energy on the banana?
He's got a whole thing.
And the other thing that happens this episode? Or do you really want
I
to
could
know?
do 4 bananas a minute, I think. I think if I really went hard at it, but can you keep that pace up? Because you have to like stop. But if I went nonstop for 8 hours, 4 bananas a minute, that's 240 bananas an hour for 8 hours. That's about 2,000 bananas, actually. I take it back. All right.
Well, it depends on the ripeness, too.
Doesn't. I can
Some of those
navigate them.
bananas are hard to get into.
I imagine you develop a technique after your 1,000th banana. What else happens?
And this is where the panel introduces one of our favorite shout-outs. So the panel can get kind of filthy. They can make some kind of gross commentary. And they seem to really go for it when Tori-chan's not there. So
Oh, fucking shit. This is the funniest shit ever.
what happens this episode is they start getting dirty about the bananas.
They get so horny. It's so fun. Like they get so very, very horny. And sometimes they say gross stuff, but most of the time it's just sort of this, just like it kind of reminds me of what the the medium we like to work in sometimes, our art form of just like absurdly like horny, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they're making all these comments about whether or not a person could use a banana to pleasure themselves.
Yeah, and fucking you says they're too mushy, or somebody says they're too mushy, and you're like, well, you can freeze them. And all of a sudden, they all just start yelling for Trindle, who they call Tori-chan.
Yeah.
They just start yelling Tori-chan, and then they use that as a short form for, like, anytime it gets too horny. Like, they just start shouting for this woman who is, like,
yeah, because she was gone for a few episodes.
This guiding force of purity.
Yeah.
God, it's so fucking funny.
It's a nice shortcut. Griffin and I have wanted to use that several times in other conversations, totally out of nowhere, but
Which
have not.
absolutely nobody would get.
Have not yet. Okay. Next episode?
Yeah, so this episode starts off with this confrontation between Lauren, and Avian's there too, and Eric, and like nothing happens at all.
Yeah, Lauren basically says, hey, you kind of hurt Naomi's feelings. It was kind of not cool what you did. And Eric's like, oh yeah, no, you're right. I shouldn't have done that. I don't want her to feel that way. And so they kind of coach Eric into apologizing to Naomi. And so the panel makes a big deal out of this. He like goes in and is like, hey, Naomi, come over and talk to me. And kind of makes her come over and talk to him. And Naomi starts to cry, because she's like, I don't know anybody here. And if I can't make friends with my housemates, like maybe I can't make friends with anybody in this country.
Yeah.
And Eric does not know how to handle
It's
her
really
emotion.
heartbreaking, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is also the episode where we see Yusuke play at the school, or is that the next one? I don't really remember anything else.
It is,
so far.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is where we learned his stage name.
Yeah, so what is it?
Eden Kai.
Eden Kai, because he says his name is really Ethan.
Yeah.
But he goes by Yusuke in the house.
That doesn't explain why his stage name is Eden Kai.
Well, maybe because it sounds like Ethan.
I don't know. I think it's just rock and roll.
Eden Kai is pretty fucking rock and roll. Yeah. And he's rock and roll because he's playing at this elementary school, and this song that he plays, like the other ones he plays like this nice sort of tap guitar style music, and this one is just slap guitar style music because it's mostly percussive, like him just banging the ever-loving shit out of the drum, out of his guitar, and like fucking just working it for the audience, just like giving them just the most powerful faces, the most powerful Tenacious D rock faces.
Yeah. This is also where we see him kind of try to work up the nerve to ask Lauren out. And so he's like, oh, what are you up to? And she's like, oh, yeah, I don't have a lot going on. And maybe we should go as a group to the North Shore, which is, I guess, a attractive beach in Hawaii.
Yes. But it's also a group date invitation, which we saw some of those in Boys and Girl in the City, where it's like, oh, I don't want to go on a date with you, but let's all go to Costco.
Yeah,
for instance.
exactly. So that's that episode.
That's that episode again. Not a big one. Episode 7 and episode 8 pop the fuck off. So let's try to get there.
Okay, so next episode, they go on the beach trip as a house. The bros throw football on the beach. And this is
I just
where
remembered what happens, and I don't even want to be on this podcast recapping yet.
Yusuke again decides he's going to try and get up the nerve to talk to Lauren. But what he actually does is stand next to her while she's laying on her towel.
There's like an umbrella between them, so she can't exactly see him, but he's standing like 6 feet away from her and just like waiting for her to like wake up or something.
Yeah, I guess she napped for a while, but what we see is him standing near her while she's looking at her phone, just not saying anything.
Which it is hard to excuse this. I think there's a version of this where you can say like, oh, he just didn't know what to do, right? He's so awkward that, but it's also really hard to not read this as just like pretty creepy. I think maybe a little bit. I was creeped out by it. You don't stand behind someone kind of hiding while they sleep on the beach.
Yeah.
That's not a good... the optics on that, Yusuke. The optics, Eden Kai, are no good, my man. Not good stuff at all.
Yeah.
Eventually, she kind of does like sit up, and he's like, everybody's sitting over there, and then they just walk over, and nothing really happens.
Yeah, this is where Lauren reveals that she was fired from the banana stand. And Naomi says that she's getting ready to start her job at Tommy Bahama's on Monday.
I was wondering what day of the week it was going to be on, so...
We take very
You
extensive
take weirdly
notes.
specific notes sometimes.
We get more of Yuya giving advice to Yusuke. This is one of those examples Griffin was talking about, where he's telling him to give more confidence and that he gets it in his own way. And then he leaves the room, and we see Yusuke walking up to his bunk bed saying, "In my own way." And then he like slams his head into his pillow. The panel says some really funny things. When they go down to the beach, they all pile into the truck that the house provides. And they all talk about how romantic and exciting it would be.
That's the dream.
To ride in a truck bed.
Yeah.
And one of them says, "I'd settle for a popped trunk." That was funny.
And he was like, "I'd love to ride around Hawaii inside of a popped trunk."
Yeah. And they talk about how now that Lauren is fired, Yusuke is going to go stand in front of the banana stand and play protest songs. Which I thought was funny. So this is where we see Eric at the store planning out where his cafe will be, which they're calling Punch Bowl Cafe. And it's a very tiny square footage.
Small space in a store. Don't get me wrong. I couldn't do this, right? Like, I'm sure it's hard opening up like a little kiosk wherever. It's just like, I don't know. It does not a show make. It does not a show make. It does not provide a lot of drama. Because it's like, it's going to go from here to here, and there's 3 stools. Like, okay.
And so this is where we get the first kind of roommate drama where Avian and Naomi confront Lauren about her messy house behavior.
Yeah, so the big problem here is that they kind of team up on Lauren and come after her like, do you leave your hairs all over
like
and you leave
Mean Girl
towels on
style.
the floor?
They do this thing, oh gosh, that I have had done to me and that I have done to other women, where you act as if you're not accusing someone. You just say, let's come up with rules as a house. Like maybe we don't leave our towels on the floor, and maybe we replace the toilet paper. And I don't know, maybe we try and just kind of straighten up.
We don't leave our dishes by the bed. And so
But it is totally Avian and Naomi leading this conversation at Lauren.
And so Lauren gets bummed out, and then later Naomi is bummed out because she feels like Lauren was being very deflective and defensive during this conversation. And so she's talking to Yuya, and Yuya's like, yeah, you kind of teamed up on her there, and you made her feel bad, and there's a way of doing this where you don't like both come after her. Like, well, what if she lied and was like, oh, I didn't do it, it must have been Avian. He's like, well, then she's a liar, and that's who she is, and you deal with it. This is one of the conversations that I feel like Yuya's like, you're not a total dummy. Like, you're not a total dumb, and you are a lot of the time when you specifically. So we haven't talked about Yuya went on a date with Naomi where he goes to the beach, and the whole time he's just like, this isn't a date, and I'm kind of bored. Can we go? And is really, really.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
that, but he's like very thoughtless. He says like a bunch of things that are very thoughtless, and he said stuff like that to Yusuke too. That's like kind of knocking him for never having had a girlfriend or whatever, and he can be very thoughtless, but he can also, like, I don't know, he also has conversations like this sometimes, and most of his advice is suspect, but he's kind of sweet to Yusuke, kind of like a.
I had wondered, because this is another thing where subtitles comes into play. Like, part of me wondered, like, does he just have a really dry sense of humor? And that's why he comes across as kind of a jerk, because he's joking? I don't know. It's hard to say.
I don't know either, but, yeah, and later on, Naomi goes to apologize to Lauren for them ganging up on her, and it's squashed pretty effectively.
Yeah.
It's no meat crime incident. We still haven't had that fucking tasty, like, arc, that 3-episode arc.
The other thing that I like about this show is we get Lauren and Eric talking about their experience watching Terrace House Boys and Girls in the City.
Yeah, so this happened in the last one too, but this one really made me think about it because around episode 6, episode 1 had started airing, and so Avian and Lauren went out to lunch, and they're like, did you watch Terrace House yet? And Avian reveals to Lauren that Eric said he was into Lauren in the first episode. So it's like, while you're on this show, I can't imagine being on this show now. I used to think it'd be like really fun, but now I think like you have to watch every fucking thing you say because the cameras are rolling, and then there's a 6-week delay before everybody in the house knows everything that you said.
Yeah.
Kind of puts a weird, like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird police state that they have going on in this house where I like her. A month and a half later, she comes to you like, oh, I heard you said you like me.
Yeah, there's a lot of subtle and not so subtle Netflix promotion that happens during this show.
Yeah.
And that everybody on the show can watch Netflix anytime they want. And so a lot of them are watching the program
Sure.
they are actually on.
Let's get to episode 7.
Oh, that was just episode 5.
Oh, what's in 6?
Episode 6 is the farmer's market.
Oh, yeah.
Naomi goes back to Japan for a week.
Yeah, Eric and Lauren go to this farmer's market, and it's another one of those, like, I don't know, it's just them hanging out and having fun at the farmer's market, but they don't really become closer as friends or lovers, really.
Yusuke has a talk with his dad at the recording studio about women.
And the panel just loves his dad, because his dad asks, are any of you guys dancing? Which the panel was like, why would he ask that? Like, this dad has done some shit in his day.
Well, yeah, and there's this suggestion of like, is Yusuke a big dancer and we just don't know about it?
Yeah.
Like, does Yusuke have a dance that he does around the house? So before Naomi goes back to Japan for a week, Yuya makes her this kind of like ice cream sundae, and gets her a coat when she's cold, which just adds to this like, why are you treating her like your girlfriend, Yuya?
I take on, we're going to get into this jacket thing because it becomes a point of confrontation later on.
Would you give a woman your jacket?
Yeah.
Just even if you had no romantic interest in her?
Yeah, sure. If I had another jacket.
If you had
Or if I had
two
long sleeve,
jackets?
if I had a flannel on and a jacket, you know me, I wear a flannel and I wear a hoodie. I don't need 2 layers. And I see somebody wearing like a tank top and it's cold outside, like, yeah, I would help somebody out like that. That's a basic fucking like human function of just like, I don't want you to be cold.
You
or
do it for a
uncomfortable.
dude too?
Yes, dude, yeah. I did it. Fucking Minsker came over here the other day when we were chilling on the porch. I was like, here, bud, here, have my jacket.
Well, he asked you for a jacket.
And I gave it to him, but it doesn't matter.
I think there was
a confrontation between, so this starts to build a slight like thing between Avian and Naomi over Yuya. There's sort of a love triangle going on here, but I really don't think Avian's into Yuya at all, and I don't think Yuya's into Naomi at all, where they're talking and Avian's confronting Yuya and just like, you gave Naomi your jacket. I would never do that. I would never give someone my jacket. That's not something you do with somebody unless you're really interested in them. And I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's true either, but it's kind of symptomatic.
And why you hurt my feelings like this?
Oh, I mean, I think that you're a very generous soul.
So too generous.
But if for example, I was wearing a short sleeve shirt and then a friend of ours was also wearing a short sleeve shirt, I would want you to check with me first and be like,
no, I would give you my jacket for you're complicating the situation unnecessarily. You're also wearing a jacket because I married you because you're prudent.
no, actually, you're the one that always has the jacket.
That's true. And then I give it to you, and then you
remember,
have a
I'm the
jacket.
Dharma, you're the Greg.
That's right. But if a second fucking Dharma comes along, I don't give them my jacket. That's goof troop.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
That's goof troop.
Okay, so what else happens this episode?
I hope not much else. My baby's gonna wake up soon. This is hubris.
Oh, so this is when Yuya goes on a date with Avian. He asks her to go surfing and they get food together. And they do this kind of coy exchange where they're like, is there someone you like right now? I don't know. Is there someone you like right now?
She asks Yuya, is there someone you like right now? And he's like, yeah, there's someone I'm into right now. And he's like, what about you? She's like, nope. And it's like very.
Well, no, she says, but maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. And then Eric and Lauren kind of get together for work on his cafe.
On his.
And then
3D
Yuya
picture he
continues to help Yusuke figure out how to ask Lauren
Yes.
out. Okay, episode 7.
Yes, this is where things finally start to happen.
This is where we get to see Lauren's modeling skills. She has a really refined walk.
Yeah, she's got a good walk. We watched a lot of.
We're kind of experts.
We watched a lot of. We did watch A&T in this season with Rita Ora, and let's go ahead and drop this bombshell of how Tyra's coming back, which is, in my mind, the most Tyra Banks shit maybe ever.
Right? She's like, I'm leaving the show. Good luck, Rita. Have a great time. And we thought Rita did an excellent job.
Rita fucking ruled. This show ruled. All of the panelists ruled, and I was so into this fucking direction. And then the final episode of A&TM, they're like, boy, we're having a hard time figuring out who should win. If only we had some sort of guardian angel look. And then sure enough, Tyra comes in and she's like, here, let me drop some knowledge on you. She's on screen for 2 minutes and it's like, here's who you should pick and here's why. Bye. And now she's like tweeting like, I missed the show too much, so I'm back. And it's like, Tyra, if I was Rita, I'd be pissed, man. I'd be super bummed out.
Yeah.
She did a really good job as host. I know a lot of people weren't super into it, but like, I don't know. I thought it was fresh.
Yeah.
Still love Tyra, and I'm excited for her to get back in the captaincy. It just struck me as like, I don't know, a very Tyra thing to do. Mm-hmm.
So
all that to say, we get to see Lauren do some modeling, and she's actually really seems to be very good at it.
Yusuke is in the audience for this runway show and he is just like smiling like a goober.
Yeah, because Lauren is wearing like a swimsuit.
Yeah.
In one of it, and just a lot of shots of him going, hey. He doesn't.
I'm walking here.
He doesn't actually. Do that. And he's not walking.
You get to keep the cannoli.
And he
leave the guns.
He isn't. He isn't Italian. Is that? What
I don't know
doing?
what that was. Like when my voice is this shot, like I don't think I do even any sort of accent.
So
it's sort of an omni accent.
And we point out the moments of drama in this show, and they are the moments of drama, but they are so subtle.
They're very low stakes.
There's a pajama conversation.
Jesus.
So Naomi talks about when she was gone, she got some pajamas, and maybe she'll show them off sometime. It's kind of flirty and fun. And then they have this big conversation about whether or not pajamas are stiff or open. As in, if you meet somebody that wears pajamas, what does that say about them?
Yeah, and Yusuke thinks they make you stiff, right? And then somebody's like, I think it's like the most open you can be wearing pajamas. And Lauren was like, naked is the most open you can be. She says with a completely straight face, and everybody's like, don't say that with such a straight
well,
face.
Because Naomi talks about how she doesn't wear clothes.
Yeah, Lauren's never naked, and she's always naked. And Yusuke, again, is like listening to this conversation like,
I found it strange to have such strong opinions about pajamas, so I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are.
I mean, fucking look at me.
On pajamas.
You know what I think about pajamas? Pajamas for me are like max comfort. I'm not trying to like...
Well, it made me wonder if they were differentiating between like sweatpants and a t-shirt and like clothes...
Pajama jammas?
Clothes
like matching,
that are designed to be pajamas.
Again, like I've never owned anything that I would fall asleep in that I would think like, boy, I hope somebody sees me in these and gets turned on. It's just not a... Maybe
that's just a difference. Because I feel like a lot of people buy pajamas to seduce.
Sure. That's one reason. That's one reason why. I'm just saying I approach it from more.
That's not anything you've ever done.
Well, I approach it from a pure comfort angle because odds are I'm going to be wearing them until about 1 to 4 p.m. the next day, working from home. So, like for me, it's like I want some off-court buddies I can really hang out with.
I guess that's true.
Anyway,
so that was a big conversation.
Can we get to the big question at the end of this episode?
Well, first Avian and Yuya go on another date.
Yeah. And this is when she's like confronting him more about his relationship with Naomi. And here's the thing. I think Yuya and Naomi seem to like actually have a lot of fun together. Like there's a lot of scenes of them like playing in the pool. In the next episode, they have the world's worst water balloon fight ever. But it's like cute and it's fun. And it seems like they're having a good time together. And we don't get scenes like that between him and Avian. Yeah. Who again is 8 years older
she's
than
26 him. And he's 18.
Not that necessarily has anything to do with it. I'm just like this struck me as sort of a trope of like a romance story of just like you are into her and she's not into you, and this other woman is definitely into you but you're not into her, and I feel like everybody's just with the wrong people. And like in every single one of these conversations, it sounds like Avian is saying like, you don't want to be with Naomi instead? Like she's trying to like foist him off to like somebody who he'd actually like be happy with and somebody who actually likes him. It's tragic love story.
This is also where, is it Sana? Sana comes back.
Sana and her boyfriend Daiki.
I wrote his name.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, that's how you spelled it.
Daiki. They come to visit the house right after the panel was... This is some bullshit, but the panel was like, wouldn't it be wild if Sana showed up?
They're so desperate for, like, actual authentic drama that they want to bring back this famous
because they don't have that Natsumi. Natsumi made things pop the fuck off in the first season because she made them have, like, real conversations and, like, address the fact that they weren't becoming actual friends in the house, and so they had to squash all these little micro beefs to get there. And they didn't have that this season, so Sana rolls up with her boyfriend, the surfer man, or windsurfer man.
Brings,
Daiki,
like, a bottle of wine.
And a bottle of wine, and she's just like, let's fucking party. And she is unlike anybody that's on this season right now. She is from Boys and Girls Next Door. Actually, Boys X Girls Next Door was the name of the original series.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
that we have not seen because it's only in Japanese, and we do not know where you would even get it. But she rolls up and tries to like ask those hard questions.
But
doesn't get very much information out of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, I think Lauren and Avian are both not present when this is happening. And they push Yusuke to ask out Lauren. And they have a lot of wisdom to share with the group, and they hang around until late in the night, and then take off. And then this is where Yusuke asks out Lauren.
Yeah, maybe inspired by Seina's brazenness. I want to know more about Seina because they talk about her all the fucking time.
I know.
And this was not a very...
The panel treats her like a legend.
I know. And she says that. She walks in the house and somebody's like, weren't you on Terrace House the first time? She's like, yeah, I'm kind of a legend.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you do kind of seem like you rule a lot. I would like to know more about you.
As she's leaving, she's like, hug me,
bye,
hug
thank
me.
you, bye,
and
hug
the
me.
panel is just delighted by this. So this must be something she does.
Yes. So Yusuke asks out Lauren.
Yeah.
His approach is very
it's the
it's the worst,
worst.
but it's also very authentically like person asking out another person for a first date for the first time in their life ever, because he's put a lot of planning into this ask. He comes at her and is like, are you doing anything Friday or Sunday? And I don't know like what the strategy was there to like couch it so she couldn't say no to one day and yes to another.
Let me just concisely say, he gives her a choice of days, a choice of movies, a choice of times, and then leaves it all up to her. And then just leaves.
Which is not a great way of doing it. Also, for your first date, movie is the worst you could do.
Yeah. It's a very teen, at least when I was a teen, that was what you would do.
Yes.
Because you could get dropped off there by your parents easily. And the idea, at least when I was a teen, was that you really were just going to make out
in the dark. Yes.
You're just going to
That's
make out.
That's not going to happen here.
No.
But he's like, I understand that you like animated movies, so is there anything like that out? And she's like, well, let's see. But it doesn't come up with like any firm plans. But
the panel makes this joke that he has probably done a lot of research and in fact
he knows exactly every
all
movie,
the movies
all
that
the
are
showtimes.
out.
And this episode ends with Lauren going to talk to Naomi and is like, I don't like him. This sucks. Like, I'm going to go on a date with him and see if anything happens. But like, I don't have any feelings.
It's actually Avian that she goes
Avian.
talk to.
I don't really have any feelings for him, but I'll go and I'll see if anything happens. And then the next episode starts with her talking to everybody in the house except for Yusuke. And he's like, I feel like I've made my feelings towards Yusuke pretty clear, and I feel like you all egged him on to ask me out, knowing that I wasn't into him, and so I'm pissed off at you because of this. And they made the good point of just like, we can't tell him what to do, really. And really, like, if you didn't want to go on a date with him, you shouldn't have agreed to go on a date with him. Nobody's good. Nobody's doing a great job in this entire fucking situation, because nobody should have to go out with somebody that they don't want to go out with, and nobody should have to go out with somebody who doesn't want to go out with them.
Yeah.
Because it's the worst fucking feeling both ways, and it never ends well. And there is no like, well, maybe I'll wear him out.
You're
Maybe
exactly right.
It doesn't fucking happen. And so like watching these two people, this was like the only thing in the season that like really hit me very hard, because I feel like everybody's gone through something like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Where you go on a date and from minute one, you're like,
you can tell right away, like, oh, this person's being nice. This person is not interested in
or
me.
you are that person that is being nice, and
Yeah.
it's like you don't know how to like let the other person down. It really does. It does suck both ways, and I think Lauren is. It really does stink both ways, and I think that Lauren is, maybe not super diplomatic, right? Like she does some stuff that is like a little bit, I don't know, a little bit like not noble of her, like trying to get her way out of this date as quick as possible or anything like that. But like, I don't know, man, this whole situation just kind of sucks. And it was really hard to watch because I felt bad for everybody in it. So they go to see this movie, they go see Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which led to a lot of conversations like, it's Harry Potter by the author of Harry Potter, but a new story altogether. And they go and they meet up in front of the theater and they talk about how it's a new story from J.K. Rowling's Bold Vision.
Oh, and we should mention that Yusuke is sporting clothes that he bought specifically for the date.
Man.
And a haircut that he got specifically
and he
for
got
the date.
love advice from his barber, and then runs that advice by Eric and Yuya in like a scene where they're helping him pick his outfit out.
His hairstylist said, oh, if it's a date, you should hold her hand. And
Eric, to his credit, like the first time Eric is like solid, I feel like this whole run so far is just like, no, don't do that. Like, if that happens, it happens naturally, but don't fucking do it. Like, oh, and also before this date happens, Yuya and Avian have a confrontation where Avian's like, I feel like you are completely different around Naomi than you are around me, and it seems like you have more fun with her, so why aren't you with her? And he's like, because I'm into you. And she's like, oh, please stop, please stop, please stop. Please stop trying to go out with me.
Yeah, that's I think it's a good conversation because he's like, but I'm telling you, I'm more interested in you. And she's saying, yeah, but that's not actually really distinguishable from your actions. You seem to be more yourself around her.
But she does. Like, yes. This is such a there's so many this episode is like really good, and I feel like it's worth putting up with some of the slower episodes earlier in the season.
It's kind of the best episode.
It's the best episode. It's one of the best episodes in the whole season, including Boys and Girls in the City, because like there's so much shit in this episode that resonated with me because like, oh man, I super duper went through that. Like, oh yeah.
Oh, and we should say the final thing about Yusuke's date with Lauren is that he has this grand plan that after the movie is over, he's going to casually ask her if she wants to get something to eat. And she has a standing Friday date with her grandma. So she quickly brushes him off. But he, at this point, has already made reservations at a vegan restaurant he thinks she would like. So he still goes to the restaurant.
By himself. Sits at his reserved table. And there's so many shots of him over his shoulder of the empty chair open for Elijah.
And eats the meal.
And eats the meal by himself. And the panel is like in rare fucking form here. Because they feel so bad for him. And they have this whole thing talking about how as anybody approaches adulthood, they collect these stamps of just like, you go and you get rejected by somebody you like. That's a stamp. And, like putting together this thing. And they fucking took, Tokui says that, he ate this swordfish alone, but didn't really taste all the flavors of the swordfish because he was so sad. But someday he'll go on a date with somebody who really appreciates him and really loves him, and he'll eat and he'll really taste every flavor of the swordfish. And the other person will ask, have you never eaten swordfish before? And he'll say, no, I haven't. And then the camera will zoom right in on his face as he winks into the camera. And like, they do a lot of like fan fiction of this series as they watch it.
They like to come up with like little alternate versions of what they just watched.
It was so hard. Like it was a car crash unfolding in slow motion of like Yusuke asking her to go to dinner afterwards, and you realize like, oh, she's not going to want to do that. And then she goes home and is talking to the other women in the house and is like, you know, I just thought I would go and try it out, and I didn't feel any feelings for him. It's like, well, you did just go and sit in the dark with him for 2 hours and didn't really talk. And like, I get it. Like, it's again, like nobody should have to go on a date with somebody they don't want to go out with. And
then we see Yuya talking to the other guys.
Yeah.
And he says heartbreaking things like, she's a really good person for even coming with me.
Yeah. It's
but he can tell that she was there just to be nice.
And so this thing is over.
And Yuya says, well, you know, you can feel free to give up, but if you want to ask her out, I'm here for you. And Yusuke says, you know, I should really just focus more on what I'm working on. And then the last thing that happens is Avian and Naomi go out, and Naomi kind of clears the air about Yuya and says, you know what, I'm not interested in him. He does have the same name as my ex, and I was kind of excited about that, which is a weird explanation, but whatever. And then Naomi says she's leaving, and then the episode ends.
That's her first switch out.
Like
and if it's anything like Boys and Girls in the City, they're going to start rotating pretty fast now. I guess we could Google that and find out, right? Like, because this show's running in real time in Japan, and we're only getting it every 2 months. So like, I think probably in the next chunk we'll probably see a few people switch out.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about because the show needs it. Like,
it does.
I think the structure of the show works no matter where they put it. I really do. And I feel like the way that they shoot it and like the tone of the show is the same, and the realism of the show and sort of the pacing of the show is exactly the same as it was Boys and Girls in the City. It's just like, I don't know. I don't necessarily think these are the 6 most interesting people to be doing this.
Yeah, it does really make you think about how you cast a show like this. And why maybe shows like The Bachelor and Bachelorette so deliberately pick people that are dramatic. Because if you get, you know, a house full of people that aren't dramatic, maybe it's not enjoyable after all.
I feel like what hooked us about Boys and Girls in the City is it was a show where you got to know all these people, and then you started shipping them pretty hard, right? And you just wanted these people to have like really good friendships and really good like relationships and romance. And I feel like I haven't gotten to know a couple of the folks in the house like at all. And not only that, like I don't really, there's no romance in between any of them really popping off at all. And so like, I think it's time to start switching out, because I do feel a baseline, like, I do like the people okay in the house. And maybe when like new blood comes in, like it always like complicates it, and then new romances and stuff pop up, and that's what really grabs me about the show. And so hopefully we'll see that in the next 8 episodes. But I would recommend you go and watch Boys and Girls in the City, and then watch this. Because, again, there is nothing else like it on television. Like, there is nothing that has the tone that this show has and the sort of style of the show. Hey, let's talk about the Max Fun Drive one last time before we wrap up.
Okay.
Again, if you donate to the Maximum Fun Drive, you will be supporting us and our shows and our network and our craft.
Our art.
And you will be... a member of the family, and you'll get some pretty cool pledge gifts. We talked about the other levels at $35 per month. Do you actually want to hold my computer and read?
Yeah.
Here we go. The handoff. Careful.
Ooh, it's heavy.
It's heavy. You have a very, very small computer. Mine is big because it's chunky. Chunky. Lots of RAM. You know how much RAM's on that one?
Oh, just hundreds of them.
8.
Oh.
What's
so at $35 per month, you get a pair of rocket engraved beer mugs, which are very nice, like beer steins. At $100 per month,
whoa,
you get membership in the Inner Circle, which is the monthly culture club. Should we say what we contributed?
We contributed Al Roze Breaking Away, an album which is unironically very important to Rachel and I, and we did it. We were like trying to figure out what we were going to give. We were the February culture club, and so we were like, let's do Breaking Away by Al Roze, because we listened to that record like. A lot of the times when we cook, it's romantic. It's very romantic. And we're like, well, maybe we should do that. And then like a day later, Al Roze died.
Yeah.
And we're like, we have to fucking do that.
We have to do it now. It's a great album. And at $200 per month, you get free registration for Max Fun Con 2018.
Max Fun Con rules.
It's a real treat. Griffin and I have done both West and East. Me as a guest, Griffin as a performer.
And it's a hoot.
It's a lot of fun. So I would say... join where you feel comfortable.
Yeah, you can really a lot of people are like, I can only do $5 a month. That's fucking rad. Like, all that matters is that you, if you can and you feel like it, you show your support to the network. You just go to MaximumFun.org/donate, and it's really easy and fast to become a member. You'll get some cool pledge gifts, but also you'll help support us in this thing that we do and have sort of been able to turn a career out of. And that's like 100% entirely because of you all at home. We're trying to get 10,000 new and upgrading members, and we're doing really well, but we want to blow that away, obviously. And there's lots of bonus content. Even if you come in at $5 per month, you get the bonus Roze Buddiez.
Yeah,
where we
like
talk to
years
Jasmine.
and years of bonus content. So if you join now, you get, all previous years' content.
But really just like think about it. If you listen to us and you spend a lot of time with us and the various shows that we do and you enjoy us, then just think about supporting us. That's all that we ask. And if not, that's cool. Next week is going to be another Max Fun Drive week, and then we're through the woods.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That is it.
That's Aloha State. It's good. Go watch it. Go watch Boys and Girls in the City too. Anything else? What are we doing next week? Need to figure that out.
We do. I really want to watch the first season of The Bachelorette, but I don't know if we're going to be able to watch the whole season in advance.
No. If it was Curious George, do you want to talk about Curious George? Because we've watched like 3 fucking seasons of Curious George in the past 6 days.
We have given a lot of very specific tastes to our almost 4-month-old baby. And one of the things that we think he likes is Curious George. So we watch a lot of it with him in the wee hours of the morning.
He's defo into it. By the way, he also has a cold, and so that's why we were late for this episode. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
We hope you can forgive us. Jeez, okay? Our son is sick, okay? Please. I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you all for listening very much, and we'll talk to you next week. And happy Max Fun Drive. And I'm Griffin McElroy.
I'm Rachel McElroy.
When you're ready.
Stay with us on this journey of joy.
Spoiler alert.
She ends up with Soldier Boy.
Right reasons, right reasons. Can't pick up all 4 seasons.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Listener supported.